Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the MIFO S. These are TWS True Wireless Buds, which are the newest flagship from MIFO, and it's a company that we've been pretty impressed with their past products, including the O5 that was very popular, the all-metal build, along with the 100-hour battery life, which is still quite impressive by today's standards, as well as later on the O7s, which was kind of their hi-fi buds with dual drivers built on in. This actually remains as one of my daily drivers in terms of just how good they sound. So I'm excited to take a closer look at, again, this newest model. So right away we can see from the design that this is a lot more flashy in terms of the aesthetics than the previous generation models. So aside from this variant, there's also one which is inspired by porcelain and china, which looks kind of interesting, along with more standard colors which have just a single tone in blue, green, as well as black. Perhaps their first pair of buds with active noise cancellation, or ANC, as an added feature. The previous models had omitted that functionality, and this also includes a mild as well as a strong ANC mode, a bit more reduced in terms of size, so they claim that these are compact and comfortable enough even for sleeping with. Now granted, unlike the Amazfit as well as Bose's sleep buds, they don't have any extra functionality for tracking sleep. However, it will give you a timer mode, which supposedly turns off after a few minutes of inactivity, has battery life up to 6 hours for the buds, and then with the case combined, it's 34 hours when on the road. And the design of the wings also make these good for sports as well. They claim that sound quality is even better in terms of bass. This is going to sell often on sale for around $150. That's definitely expensive, and it kind of puts it into the territory of rivaling the aforementioned AirPods and other kind of tier 1 brands. These buds, though, do have all the controls you would possibly want, including changing volume just by tapping once on the left and right sides, going through all the different skip track, play pause commands, as well as voice commands, and noise cancellation, of course, can all be triggered. But just like from before, MIFO have still yet to create a companion app. That's something that I do hope maybe they can start to incorporate, especially as their prices start to go up a little bit. It would make them more competitive, and something that you can further customize the granularity of the controls and EQ settings, but as it is, everything is just baked directly into the buds. A balanced armature driver inside, and in terms of the codecs, it is using just the standard SBC and AAC, so that is one other area where perhaps I would like to see aptX added at this price, but overall it is what it is. Packaging here is, again, done pretty well. On the very top we do have all the accessories, which are inclusive of the charging cable accented in green, spare silicone tips as well with a green hint to them to change and get a more custom fit, as well as the quick user guide. And first impressions being that the MIFO S definitely is still very well built. The entire body here is constructed out of a chunk of aluminum that's been wrapped with this kind of decal cover, but still has a substantial heft to it and a good density, just like their past buds, even though it looks like it's a little different on the front and has more of this glossy treatment to the surface. Otherwise, in terms of dimensions, you can tell how it's comparable to the O7s, but also smaller than the O5s, which makes sense because the battery life is also a bit shorter. But overall, we just have the USB Type-C port on the back there for charging. There is still no wireless charging support, but for a metal case, I would say that is kind of one excuse. And there is a chrome-edged button that you have to tap on to release the door. It flips open with a nice kind of spring-assisted action, and it's actually quite a tight mechanism that feels well engineered. The hinge by itself has this kind of metal lid, and then it also is kind of spring up and down, as you can see there, with this pretty interesting actuation, and just shows a little more attention to detail, just like their previous products, compared to many of the other Shenzhen and China-based buds we've seen previously. So continues to be well engineered in that sense, feels very solid, and it also tells you kind of the directions of how to use these, including whenever you open up the lid, you can take out the buds and they will automatically connect with your device. If you want to reset the buds for any reason or just reconnect because the connection or pairing is going wonky, all you need to do is actually just pop these back into the case, close the door for 3 seconds, take them out again, and they should be ready to repair and turn back on. We see that there are some status LEDs that tells you the battery percentage remaining, and then the buds themselves, again, do have the same kind of decal design as the case, with a little bit of a dimple on the surface, which makes it a little easier to hit for the touch controls. And these controls, by the way, have been super sensitive in my testing so far. Just the lightest slightest touch will do, which is excellent, and there is an audible click every single time that you hit on them as confirmation. Now the buds, by the way, are also very small, so it's a little hard to make out, but here it is next to a US quarter just to give you a better idea. So I think the overall dimensions have definitely been reduced compared to their previous buds. So just as a quick comparison, I'm going to take this out next to the O7s just to give you guys an idea here of the difference there in size. And here are the O5s as well, just for reference. You can see how on the edge they're also significantly slimmer in terms of their thickness, so it definitely is going to be more compact and lightweight as you're wearing it. In fact, that's why it should be comfortable also for sleeping, but at the same time it doesn't really take away from the ergonomics because of this added wing that still provides a bit of a seal and prevents them from falling out, which I think is quite clever. Otherwise, body of the buds are made out of a polycarbonate plastic, and then we do have just charging contacts, microphone. The mesh here is made out of metal, so it should also stand up to wear and prevent any dust or lint from accumulating. Hold for 1 second on either side to actually go through the different ANC and transparency effects, including a mild, a strong, and then a aforementioned amplified ambient mode. The slightly strange part about these, though, is by default when you first remove them from the case, ANC and transparency are obviously turned off, but once you start to press on that key and cycle through the modes, there is no function which is ANC off / transparency off, aka just normal listening. But if you want to go back to a normal mode, you have to right now put them back into the case and then take them back out again. Now 5 taps, it's quite a few numbers, will get you a low latency mode on here, so it is a function that you have. Let's talk about the performance next in terms of the quality of the sound. I have to say that the MIFO S don't disappoint, which they really shouldn't at this price point, and luckily I would say the sound signature is just very dynamic and packs plenty of detail for it to be considered a hi-fi, expensive, flagship grade pair of buds. When you're listening to a drum beat, it really gives you a nice thumpy kick, but never overpowering, and at the same time, instrumentals, vocals, everything just really shines. It just gets you instantly immersed into the music. Pretty much any genre, any track that you try listening to these with will sound excellent. Super clean as well, so there is absolutely no hints of any static, any hum or hissing in the background. It's free from all of that, crystal clear, and easy to just play and pause without any annoying pops. Everything is very smooth in terms of the connectivity is concerned. If you are comparing it directly with the O7s, I would say it's a little bit more of a tough battle. Personally, I actually prefer the O7s still a little bit more, but that is down to personal preference because I've been using these for longer as well. These are dual drivers, and they were previously the more hi-fi, kind of certified model out of their lineup, and I would say the difference is with the O7s, I feel like I'm able to still squeeze out a little bit more detail in the trebles. Things like higher frequency sounds I feel like are a little bit more clear, but on these, they definitely have improved the bass, where I feel like these are handled and are a little bit more tight, but all in all, just listening to them, picking them up, they're very consistent, easy to fall in love with the sound that you get out of them. When it comes to the active noise cancellation, I would say that I was also pleasantly surprised. They are working fairly well, especially with low frequency sounds, considering that this is their first attempt at something with this functionality. Things like fan noises, engines, and hums of a car or fridge, those are also mitigated quite well. Reaches about 90% effectiveness. Definitely is a slight step above some of the cheaper, low-cost buds on the market, but if we are comparing it head-to-head with the Sonys and Bose, I would say those can still edge it out ever so slightly, but this gets very close. And the mild mode definitely is going to be also a nice alternative, which just uses less power and will work if you're in a slightly quieter environment. Now, as aforementioned, very comfortable because they are super light, so for the full 5 to 6 hour duration, I didn't really feel any fatigue or stress while wearing them, and like I said, I could shake my head around, they still felt nice and snug, and in a quick kind of sleeping test when I lied down on a pillow, they did still feel for the most part comfortable. Maybe not invisible, I have to say, but even if I was lying sideways, it still stayed put without applying too much pressure, and definitely it can be something you use to listen to, let's say, some nature sounds while you fall asleep. So that's more or less it as far as their just quick hands-on review of the MIFO S. It's one of their most personality-filled, I think, buds in terms of the design is concerned, but still offers really solid build quality, which is super hefty and premium, along with excellent sound, especially for the compact size, and just overall a very well-rounded pair of buds that I consistently reach for and would feel comfortable with using. The added ANC is also much appreciated. You can check out more details if interested, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.